discord, may we bring harmony. Where there is error, may we bring truth. Where there is doubt, may we bring faith. And where there is despair, may we bring hope.
Then one of us will be a queen and sit on a golden throne, with a crown instead of a hat on her head and diamonds all her own, with a beautiful robe of gold and green. I've always understood. I wonder whether she'll wear a feather. I rather think she should. Oh, 'tis a glorious thing. I mean to be a regular royal queen. No half and half affair. I mean no half and half affair, but a regular royal queen.
She'll drive about in a carriage and pair with a king on her left-hand side, and a milk-white horse as a matter of course whenever she wants to ride.
Whenever she condescends to walk, be sure she'll shine at that, with a haughty stare and her nose in the air like a well-born aristocrat.
And noble lords will scrape and bow and double themselves in two,
and open their eyes in blank surprise at whatever she likes to do.
And everybody will roundly vow she's fair as flowers in May,
and say how clever at whatsoever
she condescends to say.
Oh, 'tis a glorious thing. I mean to be a regular royal queen. No half and half affair. I mean no half and half affair, but a regular
Waste. Waste has been the most important feature of the last 8 years. The waste of resources, which has been huge, all that oil money, all the other revenues that are poured in to the government, all of the capital they've allowed to pour out of the country. Most important of all, the waste of people, the waste of talent, the failure to discover abilities because the education service has been kept back, the failure to nourish abilities because of that, the waste of youngsters who had no future to look forward to other than cover-up training schemes and the dole.
I was in our home today, in Middlesbrough, with a family. A decent family, proud of their kids, proud of their home. A hard-working family when they've got a chance to do any work. There's a grandmother and a grandfather there who made their contribution. What they have to live on is the old age pension. There's a man and wife there, a mother and father in their 50s. He's been out of work for 7 years, and at 57 years of age has decided he's joined the retired. They've got £53 a week to live on, to pay all their bills except the rent. And there's a boy there, a young man, 19 years of age, who's had 6 months of real solid work since he left school at 16.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to lead our country. I'm ready because I know that I've got a team that's ready. I've got people of immense talent, immense ability, who will make the commitment, work 25 hours a day for their country, and do it in the most sensitive but the most progressive and determined way.
Well, the first and most important thing we're going to do is to reduce unemployment by 1 million in the first 2 years of the Labour government. Now, we know it can be done. And the only question the Tories are asking is, can it be afforded? Well, of course it can be afforded. We're wasting £20 billion every year in this country on paying people not to work. We want to pay a modest amount to get people back to work.
I'm going to ask the people, the top 5%, the richest people in our community, to help the pensioners, to help the families, to help the unemployed. I think that is the right thing for a decent government to do.
I think when the history of the last 8 years is looked at, the word that covers it most is fear. Not freedom, fear. Fear of going out, fear of being in certain areas, fear of losing a job, fear of speaking out in many ways, and not dramatizing it or overstating it. It is the case now that around this country of ours, there are more people, more anxious, more fearful, more inhibited than there were 8 years ago. There are long and complex ways for me to say how I feel about my country, but stripped down, I think it's probably as basic as this. My country is my family. And just as I wouldn't allow anybody to lay a finger on my family, so I wouldn't allow anybody to lay a finger on my country.
Whatever you thought about nuclear weapons 20 years ago, there are 50,000 nuclear weapons. That's 1 million Hiroshimas in the world. If they ever go off, it's curtains for the human race north of the equator, and everybody agrees about that.
How do we gain security from the prospect of such utter ruin, such irrecoverable ruin? And the answer must be, as President Reagan has said, as Mikhail Gorbachev has said, the removal of the weapons. Now, I think they've got a lot of courage, a lot of foresight, a lot of audacity to offer that agenda, and even more to actively pursue it. I mean, it really does take immense strength in order to do that. But they are the realists.
Individual liberty depends upon collective contribution. The welfare of each of us is the responsibility of all of us. That is what is so fundamentally wrong about Margaret Thatcher's vision of a Britain in which personal security depends entirely on private affluence. That is what is so narrow and so short-sighted about her yearning for a country in which access to essential services depends upon the ability to pay and not upon the need for help.
At the constituency level, on the streets, in the towns, everybody is marching to the same drumbeat. Everybody's heart is beating to the same pulse, and that gives an immense feeling of confidence and capability. I think that we can do that for the country, not just for a party. It's a choice between having a united kingdom, with all that that means in terms of working together, and being a divided kingdom. It's being pulled apart. And because people know that they're faced with those choices, they want the positive results. They want the united kingdom. They want the modern welfare state. They want Britain to be a making economy that can sell and compete. And they know that to achieve those things, they need a government that is with that grain, and that's a Labour government.
That was a party